Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 1990 of the Cabral Concept. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for joining us here today for these weekend house calls. The house calls are the Cabral Concept part of the show where we answer all of our community's questions. So every Saturday and Sunday, if you're new to the show, we take 6 questions a day every single weekend, no weekends off, and we're here to answer your questions. So always do love seeing what is written in. Again, there's no preparation for these particular questions, and I always say it's just as if we, bumped into each other on the street or in an airport, which sometimes happens, and people ask me these questions. And so that's what we're doing. So we are not providing medical advice. We're not providing any diagnosis, any cures, any medical treatment protocols. We're helping you to get to the root cause imbalances that are keeping you unwell, that are keeping you overweight, away from your ideal body weight, or they're causing you to age at a much faster rate, and we can help you with that. So let's get started. Let's see. I'm going to open up my big document here, and it looks like the first question is coming in from May 20th. Well, today's date is July 18th. So if we go back, May, June, July, we are about 8 weeks behind. All right. That's not abnormal, but just remember, if you write in and ask Cabral, it may take 8 weeks or so for you to get your question answered. If you want your question answered each day, Monday through Friday, ask it right at cabralsupportgroup.com. All right, Michael is up first. If someone has mold toxicity, do they need to use antifungal herbs or antimicrobial herbs? My exposure was in 2017. I get confused. Some people say yes, and some people say no. It's a great question, Michael. Now, the nice thing is this. So if you go to Equilife, EQUI.life, and just click on mold protocol. So, let me take a step back. The very best thing you can do if you have mold exposure, like let's say you run, we have a mold test, okay? The mold test is over at Equilife as well. Just remember that we are an online functional medicine integrative health practice. We don't own any labs, but a doctor needs to sign off on your labs. We sign off on your labs. We ship them anywhere in the world. So you get your lab, let's say it's the mold lab. It looks for mycotoxins. It looks for basically the poisons excreted by mold inside your body. And if the levels are high, you have mold. So what we do is we'll typically looking at your gut test as well. That's a candida, metabolic, and vitamins test. If it's high in yeast, which it often is, what we do is we do the CBO protocol, an intestinal cleanse to get that all out of there, and then we do the mold protocol. All right? Now, each one of those protocols have specific antifungals and antimicrobials. Now, Michael, to answer your question, is that antifungal herbs are typically, not always, but typically also antimicrobial. There are a few that are not. But if we look at, what are some antifungal-based herbs? Let's take a look. Cloves, okay, oregano, thyme. What are some other really popular ones? I think I mentioned cloves already, but that does not fall in the same category. And olive leaf. There's a couple others as well, but on a podcast, the brain's not thinking in that just particular way. Here's the nice thing, is that most of those that I just named, the oregano, the thyme, the again, I don't know why my mind's blanking right now, but all of those are also antimicrobials. So that's the great thing about it. So they typically work for both. I wouldn't worry too much about it. And honestly, we open source everything, so you can even see exactly what we do in our practice over at EQUI.life. Joanna is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I have a question regarding children's formula. What are your thoughts and recommendations for baby's formula unable to breastfeed? What formula do you recommend? I don't consume dairy myself, but I don't want to deprive my baby when the time comes, as I know they need calcium. How can they best get calcium through diet also? Also, during pregnancy, if mom doesn't consume dairy, what are your suggestions for calcium consumption for a mom during pregnancy? Many thanks and appreciate your help, as always, Joanna. Okay, happy to help with this. We work with thousands of pregnant and nursing moms, and also preconceiving before conception mothers as well, moms to be. So what can I recommend? Well, the thing is this, every woman should be getting enough calcium, typically more than 1,000 milligrams a day. Now, you don't need to drink milk in order to get calcium. So Joanna, what I would love you to do is go to stevencabral.com/podcasts and just type in calcium foods. That's it. You'll find my podcast on which foods are highest in calcium. And you can find the vegan-based varieties as well. You can also look at my cow's milk-based shows where I talk about how cow's milk is not the best source of calcium either. So just keep in mind, if you're really talking about calcium, and that's your main reason for drinking milk, there's more calcium in almond milk than there is in cow's milk. So like that shouldn't be our number one. But there are other factors in milk that can be beneficial for a baby. So if you're unable to breastfeed, there's typically a reason why, and you can hire a lactation coach that is able to help you with breastfeeding. But I do know, and I do understand, that some moms are not able to for many reasons. One is they need to go back to work and they don't want to pump, or they're not able to, or they're simply not able to breastfeed. And I get it. I totally understand. We're here to support women, not tell women what they should do with their body necessarily. So what I want to share with you is this. There are babies' formulas that are actually made with goat's milk or sheep's milk that are much easier to digest and have far less food sensitivities than cow's milk. You also want to make sure that your baby formula does not contain soybean oil or canola oil. That's really important. And then, of course, no artificial flavors and no artificial colors. I also did a show many years ago on the Weston Price baby formula that you can make right at home. So, Joanna, hopefully that's helpful. We've got another one from Joanna. Maybe it's a different Joanna. Hi, Dr. Cabral. What are your thoughts on the GAPS diet? This is not for myself. However, I would love to hear your idea on the topic while also educating myself. Many thanks, Joanna. All right, Joanna, you are a new listener to the show, which we love to have you. Happy to have you here because if you go to stevencabral.com/podcast and you type in GAPS, you will see my previous shows on the GAPS diet. I'm a GAPS certified practitioner a million years ago, maybe 2009, maybe 2010. I worked directly with Dr. Natasha McBride, very smart individual, and love the perspective. Now, the thing is, we do much more than the GAPS diet. I like the GAPS diet if you are not taking a individualized, personalized approach. So, for example, what we do is we actually run precise lab testing for kids as well. So for example, let's say you have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, whatever it might be, and you run the Candida metabolic vitamins test plus the hair tissue mineral analysis, which is the minerals and metals test. It's called the starter kit. Every child can run the starter kit. When you run that, you actually look at gut function. So we use very specific children CBO protocols, children heavy metal detox if we need to. It goes well beyond the diet. And then we have a specific diet that goes along with it. So I like the GAPS diet. I like the GAPS protocol. I like Dr. Natasha McBride. But if you want an even more individualized approach, I do recommend some functional medicine lab testing to look to see what's going on with the gut of a child or adult. And you can find that lab just by going to equa.life and typing in starter kit. Okay. And then another great one on top of that would be the food sensitivity testing and the bacteria and parasite stool test, because a lot of children have imbalanced bacteria, especially a lot of children with autism or ASD based like on the specific spectrum that you'll want to look at that is very beneficial. So I recommend those 4 labs really. And then an omega-3 if you want to do it too. And then you get precise numbers of what your child or you actually need. So there's no guesswork. All right, Carl's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I have a gut-related issue for some time. Candida overgrowth, etc. My morning cortisol is on the low end, which leaves me feeling shaky upon waking. It feels as though blood sugar is low, but it is fine. When I get up from sitting, I feel almost an adrenaline rush where my muscles feel weak and shaky. My blood pressure rises to the 160 over 115 range. When I sit back down, the BP eventually goes to 140 over 85. All right, well, there isn't a specific question, but you showed me your symptoms, and I get it now. I understand. So you are someone with low cortisol. I'm assuming you tested that in the morning. However, you might be someone with low cortisol but high norepinephrine. And your higher levels of norepinephrine could be causing your shakiness and dizziness because they're accelerating your heart rate and they're accelerating your blood pressure or increasing your blood pressure because your blood pressure is high right now. Again, I'm not giving you a medical diagnosis, but it's above the 135/80. So I'm not diagnosing you, but it shows. And what's happening is because of an HPA axis dysfunction, you're not producing enough cortisol. So your body's putting you in fight or flight, but you're not able to respond because you're not releasing glucocorticoids, which is cortisol, which means then your body's not breaking down enough stored liver glycogen to bring your blood sugar up to a normal level. Or another reason for the shakiness, lightheadedness could be just big fluctuations between high and low blood pressure. So what I recommend is, I recommend ideally working with a health coach because you'll be able to pinpoint this and figure it out. I could tell you to do certain things, but you're in the higher blood pressure range. So we want to find out why. So at the minimum, what I would do is run a starter kit. But ideally, you run the big 5. And of course, those are over at equi.life, Equilife. So that's it. That's what I would do, because you need a personalized protocol. The good news is you're not that far out of range. So you'll be able to probably rebalance that body within about 12 to 16 weeks. That's the great thing. You'll be feeling great. All right, Irene's up next. How do you know what supplements to keep taking forever or what ones to take for a period and then stop? How long should you take these? I take a bunch of supplements and sometimes I feel like I can't keep up with the cost of taking them all forever. For reference, I take a B complex, turmeric with pepperin. I take NAC. I take fish oil. I take adrenal support. I take magnesium. I take CoQ10. I take quercetin. All right. Well, it's a great list. So there's a couple issues here. We need to look at supplements as 2 to 3 tiers. All right. So your first tier supplements, and you're actually missing a couple. This is really important. So first tier supplements are your daily nutritional support or daily activated multi. And here's why. It's already going to include your B complex. Okay. It's going to include all your vitamins and minerals for the day. So most people need to take that. Now, if you use something like ours, the daily activated multivitamin or the daily nutritional support, it also includes a full B complex. That's pretty great. So you can add more if you need it for extra energy or extra stress reduction, but you might not need it. Okay. But that's no matter, you can use any brand in the world that you want. I'm talking about, I formulate for Equilife. Most people know that by now. You don't have to use Equilife. You can choose to. So next in terms of foundational level that you have to be doing. So you're doing that, great. The next thing you really want to look at is a good omega-3. And here's why. I've run, again, tens of thousands of labs. I know people are lower in their minerals and their vitamins. Not everyone, but a lot of them, which is why multi will help. Okay, so next. Omega-3s. I've only seen about 3 people to 5 people in my life that eat enough wild fish with the skin to make sure that they're at a 3-to-1 or less of omega-3s. It's that pervasive, right? It really is. So a good omega-3. The next thing you want is probably a good probiotic, right? So a daily probiotic for most people. So that's kind of your first tier. Now, your second tier for me is ours is called the daily fruit and vegetable blend, but a good greens powder that has 10, 15, 20 different sources or more of your greens. And the reason is that most people, that might eat a couple cups of vegetables a day, but they're certainly not getting their 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. And if they are, they're not getting a wide variety. Okay, so that's kind of my next tier. A good enzyme is the next tier. Some good vitamin C is the next tier. And definitely vitamin D. Definitely vitamin D. That's probably on the first tier as well. Okay, so you get your first 2 tiers. I take something called the Daily Foundational Protocol, level 2 or level 3. I now take level 3, and the Immunity Protocol. I take those basically every single day. All right, Now we get into the fun ones, right? The fun ones are more customized for us. So that might be the turmeric that you spoke about for balancing some healthy inflammation. You talked about NAC, maybe that's for mucus congestion or detoxification. You might get into your CoQ10, your ubiquinol that you spoke about before. You might get into your adrenal support. You might get into more magnesium. You might get into some liquid melatonin. You might start taking some resveratrol. You might take astragalus. That's more your next tier. It's like, hey, you don't take those, honestly. You don't start taking turmeric and a resveratrol if you're not taking your omegas and you're not taking your daily foundational protocol. Like that's how I look at it. And so The daily foundational protocol never stops. It's about $6 a day. So you might say $6 a day, that's super expensive. And I say, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, $6 a day, most people will spend $6 on frivolous things like a snack or a fancy coffee. I mean, an iced coffee. If I go out to get an iced coffee, it's like $5.50 for an iced coffee. I mean, it's crazy. That's how much all of my supplements cost for the day, basically. So, that's how I look at it. But of course, everybody's thought process is different. But basically, you want to do your foundational forever because it's a supporting your whole food, healthy diet. And then your fun ones is, well, when you need them. So, for example, some people use a product like HisPro just during allergy season. Some people use a product like Activated B Complex during just stressful times. People don't take their vitamin D3 during the summer if they're maintaining a tan every day. So it's kind of like you decide when you need the other more fun ones or supplemental based on the season, based on where you're at. So hopefully that was helpful. I'll try to maybe do even a longer podcast to break these down. All right. I think, was that 6? Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we've got one more to go. Great. Lorena is up. Hi, Doc. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer our questions. I have 2 questions. Any advice for greasy hair? I've tried doing everything. Several 21-day detoxes, CBO protocol, changing shower filters, shampoos, all natural remedies, everything. Not sure what to do at this point. Number 2, I found an omega-3 supplement that looks really good quality. It has been tested for heavy metals and purity, and it says it has 600 milligrams of DHA and 300 milligrams of EPA. Why would you still say the fish oil you sell is better? If it is because it's higher EPA, and if so, why should we prefer those higher in EPA than DHA? Okay, really great question. So let's go over this. 2 questions in one. So greasy hair, you really do want to look at your gut-based function. I know it seems kind of strange, but you want to look at, is your overall skin oily or is it just your hair? Are you washing your hair every day? Some people who wash their hair every day, it over-dries their hair. So for example, if you over-dry your skin, I know it seems strange, but your skin will produce more oil to combat that. If you over-dry your hair with shampoos, over-dry it out, it will produce more oil. So just make sure you're using all natural hair care in skincare. Make sure there's no candida overgrowth. That's the biggest that I found with scalp issues and with hair. So run the candida metabolic and vitamins test. Okay. Then also look at diet. Again, diet can affect the oiliness overall of the skin. I can't say higher fat, higher protein, although it does affect some people for sure, but not necessarily everybody. So at least look at that and then come back if that wasn't helpful enough. Omega-3s, there's only 2 products in the world. There's ours and one other company that give you this level of omega-3. Literally, there's no comparison. We had to specifically formulate this. So first of all, I'm just going to go to Equilife and I'm going to look up the omega-3 and actually give you the back panel right now. All right, omega-3 soft gels. There we go. We're clicking on it. All right, so let's look at it. When you look at the omega-3 support, you are getting with Equilife's a triglyceride bound, which means it's easy to absorb, non-oxidized, cold processed wild fish from wild Alaskan pollock, and it's sustainable. Does your brand offer that? And also tested for heavy metals such as mercury. So you just kind of want to look at that. And if it does, great. Again, I have no problem with you using another brand. You just want to make sure that it's clean because fish oils are some of the dirtiest products out there. Ours also contains 1.2 grams of fish oil, 1 gram total of omega-3s per soft gel, and we recommend 2 a day. So you're getting 2.5 grams of fish oil concentrate, 2 grams total of your omega-3s, which again, nobody else does, and about 1,300 milligrams of EPA, and about half that, somewhere around 500 of DHA. So we're a 2-to-1 ratio of EPA to DHA. Almost no one does that, and that's because, again, this is a clinical practice. And over in my practice, I see EPA low, DHA pretty good, but not there. So you might say, why does that matter? Well, it's EPA that's going to move the needle because EPA can very easily convert to DHA, but we have not seen in a clinical practice DHA convert very well to EPA through supplement form. But here's the thing. I want to call you by your name. I feel that that's appropriate. So Lorena, the best thing that you can do is I want you to listen to my advice, but you never need to even believe me or trust me. Run the omega-3 inflammation test over at Equilife. Use the supplement that you're using. If it is working for you to get you to the right level of EPA and the right level of DHA and a 9 on the omega-3 index and a 3-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s, then you're good, right? Again, you never need to believe me, but you can always just say, you can trust me, and then verify with labs. And you can also use your favorite products doing the same thing. So hopefully that was helpful. That is my time for today. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. Of course, if this show is helpful, do feel free to pass it along to anybody else it could serve. And again, tomorrow we'll be back with our Motivation and Mindset Monday, the best way to start the week. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Before you run, I want to make sure that you have gone over and visited our online functional medicine practice over at equa.life. And that is because this week we are offering up to 25% off during our semi-annual sale. It only happens twice a year, once every 6 months. And I want to make sure you do not miss it this July. We offer up to 25% off store-wide on your favorite at-home functional medicine lab tests, protocols, and of course, individual nutritional supplements. This will allow you to pick up that at-home lab test you've been looking to do for yourself or maybe for the whole family. Pick up the CBO protocol, the Parasupport protocol, the heavy metal detox, a functional medicine detox, whatever it is that you need right now. It is up to 25% off store-wide, something that we love to do for our community. You won't see this widely advertised, but it is for our podcast listeners and of course, our online community support group. So take advantage of the savings. Let us know what you decided to invest in. And of course, we're here for you. If you have any questions, do feel free to reach out. Again, we are here to help. Head on over to equi.life for savings up to 25% plus daily deals that you won't want to miss. Take care, everyone.